my yarny friends, I'm Sara Sach. Welcome back to my crochet channel. Now today's video is of course a Friday Fun Day pattern. It's a real simple cowl that can also be made into a scarf, and we're calling this the Precious Pink Scarf and Cowl. And the way that it is we make it in long, and then we put the ends together to make the cowl in a tube. But if you don't want to make a cowl, you prefer a scarf, you don't have to put the ends together, and it's still stitched pretty much the same. And it's totally up to you. And a neat thing about this pattern is I give you the multiples, I give you the measurements and all of that on the blog, and you can make it as wide as you want, and you can make it as long as you want, whatever that you like. Either way, it's stitched using a 3-weight light or DK weight yarn. We use this Stitch Please, and I'll tell you more about that when we talk about yarns. But even though I've done this in 2 colors, you can do whatever colors that you want. But the reason that I really love it in 2 colors is I love the alternating of it, because we've got a light row and then we alternated where we put our front posts in the darker pink rows. And of course I was going for pink because I kind of like pink. And it's a perfect gift for someone maybe going through breast cancer or any cancer. You could make this in any colors. But when we start heading towards fall, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and my mom was a breast cancer survivor for a while. She did pass away. And so I always want to make something pink for those who are, struggling with breast cancer. But of course, you can make this for anything that you want, any colors and any shade. You don't even have to do it in solids. It's just real versatile. And it's a precious cowl, even if you change your colors. That's okay with me. I never expect you to do things exactly the way that I do. Okay? Now you can find all the information for sizing, yarns, and all that, pictures and all of that stuff on my blog, and I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. To make our precious pink scarf or cowl, you're going to need about 2 ounces or 1 ounce of 2 different colors of yarn. This is a light 3 or DK weight yarn, and I use these 2 colors. This is Petal Pink and English Rose, and I think they look lovely together. Now I have these 2 out here. This is the way that they come, and you can go and look at all the different colors of the Stitch Please. It's a beautiful superwash extra fine merino, 100% merino wool, and so you can use any light number 3 or DK weight yarn for this project. I just really love these. I had these left over from a previous project where I made a pocket shawl. I gave it to a friend who loves it very much because this is super comfortable yarn. It's beautiful, it's soft, and again, if you want to go look at it, I have my Premier Yarn link underneath this video. You can go and check it out for yourself. But it is perfect for this. But remember, any DK weight or light number 3 yarn will work for this project. You need 1 ounce of 2 different colors or a total of 2 ounces. These colors that I use, this is English Rose and Petal Pink. All right, but we won't be using these 2, only these. All right, so we're going to stitch it up with our H hook, which is a 5mm. You need a needle for weaving in your ends and a pair of scissors. So I'm starting with color 1, which is my lighter pink. It's called Petal Pink. We're going to do our slip knot. And then we're going to loosely chain 21 chains. And it's very important to loosely chain the beginning chains because you don't want the bottom of your scarf to be puckered. And if you're going to make it into a cowl, you want the ends to meet up nicely. All right. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have loosely chained 21 chains. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to place a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now the chain 3 here that we started with that we didn't stitch in, that will count as our first stitch, and then we'll count the next. And so now we're going to place 1 double crochet in each of those chains, working all the way across. One double crochet in each of the chains across. So we stitched a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook, and we count this chain 3 as our first double crochet, and so we have 19 double crochets. We're going to chain 3 and turn our work. We're going to double crochet in the next double crochet because our chain 3 counts as our first, so we don't stitch in that first one. And now we're going to stitch a front post double crochet in the next stitch. So we normally put our stitches up here, but we're going to go around the post of the stitch and stitch a double crochet. We're still stitching a double crochet, we're just putting it in a different place. And so what we're going to do across is we're going to alternate a double crochet and front post double crochet every other stitch. Double crochet, front post, double crochet. And see how that makes a really nice texture? And we'll repeat this across until we reach those last 2 double crochets, and then we'll just place 1 double crochet in the last 2 double crochets. So I stitched that across, alternating front posts and regular double crochets until we reach those last 2 stitches, and in those last 2 double crochets we're going to just stitch 1 double crochet in each of those 2. Now we're not going to chain 3 because we are going to change colors, but you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 front posts and 11 double crochets. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to leave our color 1 attached, and we're going to grab our color 2, and we'll bring that in, snug that down, and chain 3. Now we'll be changing colors every 2 rows, and so what we're going to do is we're going to carry our yarn up only on this side of our scarf. All right, so we're going to turn our work, and on row 3 we're just going to place a double crochet in each of the double crochets across. Again, our chain 3 counts as our first, so we'll just place 1 double crochet in each of the stitches, working all the way across this row. One double crochet in each of the double crochets across. Our chain 3 counted as our first double crochet, and then we stitched a double crochet all the way across. We chained 3 and turned for row 3. And again, row 3 you're going to have 19 double crochets. Now for row 4, we're going to do the texture again, but we're going to do it just a little bit different because our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, and we're going to go right in that second double crochet and stitch a front post, and then we'll alternate across again. Double crochet in the next, front post in the next. And so what we did is we're alternating it so that our front posts aren't on the same rows, because we did 2 double crochets, then our front post on row 2. All we did on this row is we chained 3 and then began our front post, regular double crochet, alternating across. And this gives us a really nice texture. And so we'll alternate our front posts and our double crochets. There we go. All the way across. And this time we'll do it till we reach that last double crochet. So alternate your front posts and your double crochets. So we began in that second stitch with our front post double crochet alternating across. Here's our last front post double crochet, and then we're going to double crochet in that last stitch. And we're not going to chain 3 this time because we're going to bring back in our color 1. And all your color changes will be on the same side because we're alternating every 2 rows. All right, so now I'm going to chain 3. I'm going to turn my work, pull my yarns out of the way, and our chain 3 counts as our first stitch. We'll go right in that next stitch, and we'll just stitch a row of double crochets all the way across. One double crochet in each of the double crochets all the way across. And this is how the back of the work looks, and this is how the front of the work looks. All those beautiful texture stitches. I completed row 5. I stitched 1 double crochet in each of my stitches across, and again we have 19 now. And I chained 3, and so now we're going to repeat what we did down here on row 2. So we'll double crochet in the next double crochet, and then we'll front post double crochet in the next, and then again we'll alternate across, stitching a double crochet, front post double crochet, alternating every other stitch. Double crochet, front post double crochet. And when you look at this, you'll see that they're offset from the ones that we did here. And that's part of how that gives such a neat texture. I'm going to turn a little so you can see that texture. Because see, here we started our front post in that second stitch, but on this row and on row 2, we did it in our third stitch and then alternated across. And it just gives a beautiful texture. All right, and so we'll just repeat that all the way across until we reach those last 2 double crochets. I have finished row 6. Again, I have my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 front post and 11 double crochets. And so what we're going to do is we're going to continue to repeat these 4 rows, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and we're going to continue to repeat those for 49 more rows. All right, and you're going to repeat row 3, row 4, row 5, and row 6. You're going to alternate the colors and alternate the rows as well, because these 2 rows are different than this row. Okay, so our next 2 rows will be repeating 3 and 4, and then you'll repeat 5 and 6. And you'll do that for an additional 49 more rows. And that's going to give you a scarf or a cowl that's approximately 32 inches. And remember, we all stitch differently. Some of us stitch tighter than others. So if you want one that's a specific size, use your tape measure and measure the length that you need. If you want it to be a little more close fitting, to maybe tuck in your collar of your jacket or on top of your blouse, you could do it shorter. If you want it to be longer and be long and drapey, you can add as many repeats as you would like. But for the pattern, we're going to be repeating row 3 and 4, 5 and 6, alternating our colors and alternating our rows. So here is my finished scarf or cowl. It's really, really pretty. I love how we alternated our colors in our rows. Now, you can make this into a scarf or you can make it into a cowl. If you're making it into a scarf, you don't need to do anything extra right now. But if you're going to make it into a cowl like I am, I'm going to show you what to do. So you'll take your ends and put them together, and you want to make sure that the right side is on the inside of your work. Okay, so this is the outside of our work. And then you'll just take one color that you don't want to use and cut that off. And I like to go ahead and go with the color that I ended with. All right. So then we'll put the two ends together and we'll just single crochet across in each of those stitches, working all the way across. And again, if you're doing a scarf and not a cowl, you can skip ahead to where we do the trim. All right. But I think this makes a wonderful lightweight cowl. And a cowl or an infinity scarf is just a tube, and the infinity scarf is a tube that has a twist. Okay? And I like cowls because I'm one of those people that loses their scarves, leaves them in restaurants, leaves them at church, leaves them at the car wash. I've even been known to leave them at Walmart. They probably resold them. All right, so I'm just going to finish stitching across here, stitching the two together to make it into a cowl. So I single crocheted across, stitching them together so that it's a tube, and I didn't twist it because I'm not wanting an infinity scarf, just a regular cowl. I'm going to chain one, but I want to do my trim on this edge, and so what we're going to do is we're just going to slip stitch back across just so that we're back where we need to be. So we'll just put a slip stitch in each of those. That way we don't have to cut our yarn and reattach. And this just won't, it won't matter because it's on the inside of your cowl. So we're just slip stitching back across, and then I'm going to show you how to do the trim. And the trim is done exactly the same for the scarf as it is for the cowl. Only difference is we'll be stitching around instead of just across. So we joined with single crochets across, and then we slip stitched back. All right, so this is the inside. So we're going to turn it to the outside now because we're going to be working on the outside. And again, if you're just working a regular shawl and not a cowl like I did, you're going to do this exactly the same. You'll just come over here to the edge. And what we're going to do first is we're going to stitch an even row of single crochets all the way around the edge. Whether it's a cowl or a scarf, it's done the same way. And you want to try to get those stitches in the sides of your stitches and not the holes. Now there might be places where you will have holes, but the best thing is that you need to do, or the most important thing, is to stitch over those yarns that we trailed around so that they're covered up. Okay, so we're just stitching an even row of single crochet either all the way down the side or all the way around, whether you twisted it, whether you didn't, or whether you're just making a scarf. And again, it doesn't matter the length. The way we finish up is pretty much the same. We're going to do this row of single crochets, and then we're going to add a fun little trim to the edge just to give it a little bit more fun. Because I like fun. Although this is quite precious. That's why I called it the Precious Pink Scarf and Cowl. Now, another thing about stitching around the edge is, especially on something that is stretchy, you want to make sure that those stitches are even. You don't want them too far apart, but you don't want them too close together to be bunchy. But you also don't want to stitch tightly. That's why we're using an H hook on a 3-weight yarn, because we want everything to be loose and stretchy. Okay? All right, so I'm going to go all the way around. And if you're doing just the scarf, go all the way down the side, and I'll meet you there. I have stitched evenly all the way around my edge, and if you're doing a scarf, you're just stitching all the way down the edge. Now, because I did the cowl, I joined back to my first single crochet, and I'm going to single crochet in that first single crochet. If you are doing a straight long scarf, you're going to turn your work and then stitch back up this side of your scarf, okay? It's still going to be pretty either way. Okay, so we single crocheted, we're going to skip the next, and then we're going to stitch a V-stitch in the next. Now, there is not a set number of single crochets you have to have, and so it may not end up evenly. And so I'm going to stitch around, show you how to do everything, and then I'll talk a little bit about what to do if it doesn't end up perfectly even. All right, so we stitched a V-stitch, double crochet, chain one, double crochet, skip the next, and single crochet in the next. And this is the trim that we're going to add. So skip the next, V-stitch in the next, again double crochet, chain one, double crochet in that stitch, skip the next, and single crochet in the next. And the trim is exactly the same whether you're making a cowl or scarf. It just makes a light open sort of a shell stitch, although it is a V-stitch. All right, so single crochet, skip the next, V-stitch in the next, skip the next, single crochet in the next. And we'll repeat this all the way around or all the way down your scarf. And again, the trim is stitched the same whether it's on the scarf or the cowl. And we'll only be stitching on this one edge. We won't stitch on this other edge. All right? All right, so single crochet, skip one, V-stitch in the next, skip one, single crochet in the next, and repeat all the way around or all the way down the edge of your scarf. So if you've stitched down the side of your scarf and maybe you have a couple extra stitches here, like I've got 2 extras, you can just do your single crochet in the end. Skip 1 or 2 is okay. It's not going to hurt anything. And then what you're going to do is tie off, because you're just going to have this edge on the one side. If you want to go all the way around the bottom and then back up the other side, you certainly can on your plain scarf. What we're going to do on the cowl, though, as I do have 2 there, so I'm going to go ahead and put my single crochet there, and then I'm going to go ahead and join to the single crochet right there. All right, it lines up okay. It's not perfect, but it's not noticeable. And sometimes when we work on a project like this where we don't have a set number of single crochets that we put in, when we put our trim on, it doesn't line up exactly perfectly, but I think it works out okay. And we still get the effect there of our trim. All right, so I'm going to cut that off and tie that off. And then I'm going to go ahead and weave in the rest of my ends, okay? And this is where it's up to you if you want to come to the other edge and do the same trim. And so I'm not going to. The way I designed this is I wanted this just to have a nice little edge on the one side. And when you wear this cowl, this will be up at the top. Okay? And of course, on your scarf, I thought it would look really cute just to have the ruffle, or the, not really a ruffle, just a sort of edge just on the one side. But again, it's up to you and what you prefer.